What's good? And thank you for tuning in today. Today on the show, we're going to talk about church and state. So without further ado, let's get this conversation started off right. Given the political environment in Texas and a lot of the things that's been on the headlines, I felt it only right that we take some time to talk about what exactly is transpiring. So let's take a look at this. There's been some controversy over Senate Bill 10, which is the 10 Commandments in public school. Senate Bill 10 mandates that all Texas public schools display the 10 Commandments in a 16 by 20-inch frame using language from the King James Version of the Bible. The bill has passed both the legislative chamber and awaits Abbott's signature. If signed into law, the bill will take effect on September 1st, 2025. So let's think about that for a minute. 10 Commandments, public schools, separation of church and state. Why are we here? What is the purpose of putting up the 10 Commandments? What is the purpose of putting this on the forefront of, I think it's even made some national news. What are we trying to accomplish? I don't know. I can't personally say. I know my personal feelings on the situation. School is school. Church is church. We should not be enforcing anything religious to be taught in a public school. You have private schools for that, which we'll touch base on that in a minute. But let's stay focused on public schools. Think about it. I mean, what if the teacher or the students in question are atheists? What if they are Muslim? What if they are I don't want to say non-denominational. What if they are Buddhist, Hindu? There's multiple religions out there, and you want to paint this picture that this 10 Commandments supersedes the religion that they are taught and grew up with and everything. You're basically trying to you're trying to indoctrinate the children to confine and conform to your religious beliefs, which is wrong. A lot of people have this mindset that the United States was founded upon Christianity. It wasn't. United States was founded upon freedom of religion. Now, Texas is a special cookie, not because it's my home state, but it is a special cookie because Texas was once a part of Mexico, which all y'all know this. Now, Mexico believed in Catholicism, so they were Catholic. So Texas, the foundation of Texas when it was still a part of Mexico, was centered in the Catholic religion. Now, Texas gave all that up when it became part of these United States. It gave up the Catholicism for freedom of religion. That's hands down. So why are we trying to take steps backwards and conform kids to Christianity when the country itself is freedom of religion? Why are we talking about this? Why is this even something that's being brought up to the forefront of a conversation or for somebody, on the news media? Because you have a bunch of people in the legislative offices who believe that if we put these 10 Commandments in the classrooms and these kids look at it and these kids soak it in, they'll become better human beings. That's my opinion. I think that they're thinking. I'm not sure. I don't have anything concrete to show you to say, hey, this is what they believe. But maybe they're trying to give some type of structure or something. I don't know. But again, the 10 Commandments have no place in being in public school. And I'm saying this as a Christian. It's not that I'm not trying to promote Christianity, because I will always promote Christianity. But God gives us the ability of choice, the freedom of choice. God doesn't say, follow me because you have to. God says, choose me, accept me or deny me. So why are we trying to indoctrinate children to Christianity? What's the underlying purpose? What's your motive? What are you trying to get at? What are you building up for? What is all this posturing for? It makes absolutely zero sense. These 10 commandments that you're trying to get put up in schools, how often do y'all, the people who are pushing it, follow the 10 commandments? How often do you legislators follow them? I can tell you one right now, and it's not a opinion of mine. It is literally a fact. You legislators lie on a regular basis to the public about the other party. Oh, this party wants to do this and this and this. You misinterpret things that what they say or how they're saying it, or you paint them in a negative light, or you'll say some outlandish things to get the people moving. Case in point, y'all, Abbott and some of the other legislators got upset with public schools under this whole notion of furries. That there's a litter box in the public school classroom, and these kids who believe that they're animals go to the litter box. They're really allowing kids to use the litter box or pee or display themselves in front of everybody. Come on now. But Abbott posted about it, said something about it, got upset about it, and had no facts, nothing to back it up. But the sad thing about a lie is if enough people believe it, it becomes the truth. That's the sad part about a lie. Hate to say it. If I believe the lie, and if Billy and Susie believe the lie, and then Tommy and Trini believe the lie, and then Jason and Zach believe the lie. I think I just named, and Kimberly believes the lie. I just named all the Power Rangers. Y'all didn't catch that. Then it becomes the truth if enough people believe it and circulate it. Hate to say it. That's where we're at right now. Texas is on this religious streak. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at the next thing I wanted to talk about. So the next thing we're going to look at is Texas Senate Bill 2, SB2, Education Savings Account Program. Now, granted, I understand this is summertime. Why are we talking about school? Because this is coming up. We're talking about something that's going to be happening here within the next year or so. Well, the 10 Commandments will happen this year. SB2 is scheduled not to take, SB2 may be taking effect this year. Let's read it. Senate Bill 2, known as the Texas Education Freedom Act, establishes statewide education savings accounts, ESA program. This initiative allows parents to use public funds for private school tuition, homeschooling, or other educational expenses. The bill passed through the legislature and is set to take effect on September 1st, 2025. Let's get some more information on it. So I'm going to borrow this for a couple of minutes. Let's take a look at this.
On April 24th, Senate Bill 2 was passed by the Texas legislature. This bill creates an education savings account, or ESA program, which is essentially a form of a school voucher that will provide public funding for Texas families to use on private school tuition or to access out-of-boundary district and charter schools, including online programs. Funds can also be used on other educational expenses like pre-K, books, transportation, tutoring, and more. The program will be funded with $1 billion over 2 years, but could grow to nearly $4.5 billion per year by 2030. The program is expected to begin in the 2026-27 school year. So, how will the program work? Parents will have access to 85% of what public schools get for each student, around $10,500. Children with disabilities would be eligible for up to $30,000, depending on what the state would regularly spend on special educations for that student. Homeschoolers could receive up to $2,000 or $2,500 for homeschoolers with a disability. Almost any school-age child who is eligible to attend a public school can participate in the program. In its first 2 years, the program will be capped for use by up to 90,000 students. The bill prioritizes students who are enrolled in public schools over those already enrolled in private schools. From there, prioritization is given first to students with disabilities living in households with less than $160,000 in annual income for a family of 4. After that, prioritization is given to students from households that have annual income levels below 200% of the poverty level, which is roughly $64,000 for a family of 4, followed by those coming from households that fall between 200% and 500% of the poverty level. And then finally, those coming from households with an annual income above $160,000 for a family of 4. Funding for students from these higher income levels cannot exceed 20% of the total amount of the fund. ESA funds will be overseen and audited by the Texas Comptroller, who is responsible for establishing certified educational assistance organizations, which will facilitate the implementation of the program, everything from disbursing funds to approving educational providers to reporting program results. Schools participating in the program must test students in grades 3 through 12 each year with a nationally recognized norm-referenced assessment and report the results both to parents and to a certified educational assistance organization. Texas will be the 19th state in the country to put in place an ESA program.
You heard it yourself. That's SB2 in its finest. Let's look at this. So $1 billion is where it tops off at, and roughly 90,000 students. So basically, if you're trying to get into this, you got to find an organization or a school that's aligned, because it doesn't work for just any private school, that's aligned with the standards of the bill, meets their qualifications, and then you go into a lottery. And you got to pray that you're within that 90,000, because if you're not in that 90,000, then guess what? Guess what, buddy? You don't get to take part in it. But yet your taxpayer money went into it. It doesn't guarantee you anything. So you took money from a guarantee. Well, I'm not going to say took money. You generated money for a possibility that my kid could get into it versus generating more money for an institution that my kid is already a part of. And you're doing this under the disguise of saying, by doing this, it's making education better, it's making it more competitive. We're no longer sticking with public schools because they're not doing the job. Well, let's think about why they're not doing the job. Public schools are testing or are teaching to take a test, a norm assessment test. What is that? Is it the STAR test that the kids got to take? Is it the tax test, the TOS test? What is it? What is the guidelines for it? These kids right now are not being taught anything. They're being taught to pass the test because they need to make sure that they meet the quota. And now you're saying, hey, you know what? Even though you've done all this stuff, even though y'all altered y'all curriculum just to pass this test, still not good enough. We're gonna give money to private schools. Yeah, private schools need a shot. Why private schools? Well, this is my own opinion, whether people agree with it or not. Texas has been on this religious streak, like I said earlier. A lot of your private schools, guess what they are? Christian schools. Again, indoctrination. Now, private schools, hey, you know what? They may have the 10 Commandments posted. That's fine. I support that because it's a private school. You're paying for that. You're paying for that environment. That's cool if the 10 Commandments are posted in private schools or they want to teach a Bible-based curriculum. That's fine. That's private school. But why is Texas going so hard for these Christian-based schools? Because Texas is trying to push a Christian-based agenda. That's the only way to say it. They're trying to, I would go as far as to say they're trying to establish a state religion and make it Christianity. But what type of Christianity, buddy? There's different types of Christianity. We're not all under the same blanket. I am not a Catholic. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm Baptist, Southern Baptist. If I have to be something, I'm Baptist. I prefer non-denominational, but I've grown up in Baptist churches. That's my upbringing. That's what I am. So Christianity What type of Christianity are you pushing? You're confusing kids because you're taking away lessons that should be taught by parents, and you're trying to force these lessons onto these children for what? What is your underlining purpose? What is it? What are you doing it for? What? Why? You didn't mandate that the private schools have to take the students, because let's be factual about it. Private schools do not have to take you. You apply for the private school, and when you apply, you got to pay your application fee, and then you pay your tuition. And then if your kid wants to do anything extra like band or sports, there's another fee that comes along with it. Now, it varies from place to place, person to person. I mean, school to school, it varies. I'm not going to say they're the one size fits all number, but you're going to you're coming out of pocket some money. Where public schools, you get all that for free. It's crazy that we're at this juncture where we're trying to force parents, or force a choice on parents under the disguise of, oh, this is going to be better for you, but you're not giving them all the information. You're not telling them everything. I understand some people are all like, hey, you know what? Sports is not, they don't have to play sports. But yet you holler that our children are obese. Come on, bro. We should be encouraging them. That's how they build character. That's how they build themselves up. They play sports. They do these things. You're not touching base and telling them everything that they need to know before you sign this bill into law. And you're calling it a win? A win for who? For who? Who's winning? Because I don't see it. You trying to say public schools, private schools are better than public schools? Where's the numbers? Where are the statistics that show going to a private school is better than going to public schools? Because from what I know and from what I've seen, people who switch from private school to public school are behind, not ahead. Not even on grade level. Maybe some may be on grade level, but they are behind because they don't have to go by the state curriculum. So what is the purpose of it? What are we here for? So in closing, I'm not gonna hold y'all. This ain't gonna be a long episode. We need to really pay attention to what we're doing. We need to really pay attention to what these people in office are passing and calling a a good thing for you, the people. I love Texas with all my heart, and I don't like the way that it's going with some of these things that they're doing and some of these things that they're trying to pass. Like, what's your purpose? What's your motive for it? Why are you doing it this way? If you want to push, if you want to push Christianity, then push it. But don't hide don't hide under, we're doing this for school. We're doing this to help the generation and make these kids better. Nah, if that's what your underlying goal is, to conform everybody in Texas to Christianity, then say that. But don't do this stuff and thinking God's gonna pat me on the back because I'm helping these children, these lost souls, find him. No, you're not. You're driving people away from him. Remember, our light lives within us, shines within us. It is our life that leads others to Christ, not your policies, not your stance on anything. It is the life you live. I highly suggest that some of these legislators go and reread the Ten Commandments and apply it to yourself before you try to apply it to anybody else. Make sure that you align with the Ten Commandments, especially that lying part. I wouldn't say adultery or anything like that because I don't know what y'all do in y'all's bedroom or who you sleeping with. That ain't my business. But make sure that you yourself are aligning with the policies that you're trying to push. But all right, y'all. I'll catch y'all again the next time. Peace.